what did I believe he said that Zelensky started the war
Yes,
or something
he
like
did.
that, which is like, okay, all right, that's a little
Did he
bit
really say
ridiculous.
that?
He said Zelensky had started the war and that Zelensky was the dictator.
Trump said that?
Yes, but it was after
he said,
Zelensky. But it was.
really?
This is how Donald Trump is. Donald Trump. It's like if he feels that you disrespected him or came at him, he's going to be 10 times more vicious to you.
By the way, this happened 2 weeks before the disastrous Oval Office meeting.
Yeah.
And I wrote the next day the cover in the New York Post, which was a big picture of Vladimir Putin with the headline, "This is a dictator." Just, again, as I say, not to lose track in all of the melee, not to lose track of the basic facts.
Well, look, I will say this as somebody who is, I'm very anti-war, broadly speaking, and I do agree with you that it should, like, we should be able to have conversations about all the things that led up to the war and all the different, like, blunders that were made, and also still recognize that Vladimir Putin invaded a country and is responsible for, at least hundreds of thousands of people dying. And, my Scott Horton, who I always try to promote on here, he just wrote this book called Provoked. I think it's the best book that's been written on the history leading up to the war it basically takes you from the collapse of the Soviet Union up to the war in Ukraine. And even in that book, the book is called Provoked. And the argument is that Western policy was very provocative toward Vladimir Putin, and there were a lot of off-ramps that could have been explored and should have been explored. But he has an entire chapter in the book where he is saying, like, look, Putin had a lot of other options. He didn't have to do this. It's not as if any of that justifies his invasion. And so I do agree with you that whenever we're talking about a war, particularly a war of aggression, that should always be in the front of people's minds.